As you know, there was a committee that met since our September 23rd meeting. Dan did not take part in that meeting, but there were communications with him afterwards. I know, Vern, if you want to speak to that at all.
I guess I would be interested in knowing exactly where Dan is. What I shared was personal, my personal opinion, because we weren't able to ever have a formal discussion, or really even an informal discussion with Dan, and so it made it pretty difficult to try to get any kind of structure established at all, a framework from which to start. So I guess your communications with Dan would be much more important than any conjecture on my part.
Well, I guess my thought at this time, and I suggested this to Roger earlier, that we have a committee appointed to try and meet with him and initially put together some kind of proposal so he's got something to react to. But any proposal is going to have to be subject to him providing some documentation for where the company is at and where it's likely to go. So I don't think we've gotten anything in writing to that effect for this next phase. We got basically, if you look at your checklist, we got most of that information when the original flood loan was processed, but now we basically need updates for, you know, what the potential is and where it's going. And I know there's been a lot, you know, shared verbally, but in order to properly do our due diligence, we ultimately are going to need something on paper. At least that's the way I feel. I don't know how the rest of you feel.
So we're at sort of a wall right now. This group had sent to the council's recommendation. The council has tabled it at this point. Is that what I understand? Yeah. And they're looking
for... The council tabled any further expenditure commitment of cash until Dan shows, or, you know, until this development agreement could be structured so that the council knew where it was going with it ultimately. What it amounted to really was, okay, I've promised you this, you've given me $15,000 to develop a site plan, now give me $70,000. I promise you that I'm still doing what I said I would do, but there's no guarantee, and so, you know, why should the city, and Dan, to his credit, was willing to, according to that sheet he showed us that night, was willing to be responsible for $35,000 of it, but even at that, without a guarantee of some sort that this is really going to happen, why keep throwing money at it? We need to have some assurance from Dan that this thing really is on track, meeting a timeline that is worthy of a development agreement where the city's going to commit to sinking footings and foundations for a $1.3 or $1.7 million building, depending on which number you want to look at. So that's basically the impasse right now.
The city could do a spec building and, you know, look at Dan as the initial resident there. But is that is that wise to do? And that's, cities do that.
But that, okay, that, the group, Jim, you were on it, and who else? That met or to come up with that, the three, the mayor and Dahl?
The subcommittee?
Yeah, that
It was
subcommittee.
You and I, and then it was,
Vern and Ted, right?
Vern and Chris and Rodney Dow.
yeah.
Yeah, right, Chris, yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, the subcommittee
The
is Bob,
subcommittee.
Yeah,
Robert Dow.
right.
So it was Chris and Robert, the two of you.
So now Vern, would your proposal be to have them, have that subgroup get with, Dan again to say, hey, to try to break through this, or?
There is, the timeline that was presented to the council. I believe you may have seen it at your last meeting. That's rather tight,
Oh, yeah.
you know? And that is why in our transition meetings, why we wanted, you know, why the council, Chris and myself, Mayor Chris and myself, wanted to establish the best possible relationship that we could with Dan as a transition, you know, after Wendy announced his resignation. And we were disappointed because Dan wouldn't come and talk to us. He says, well, just send me a proposal. Well, you know, we could do that, but that could be a waste of time. And the reason why we wanted to do it, why we wanted to meet with him, was to expedite this thing as much as we possibly can. But we need to understand it first. We really need to have, if we're gonna be responsible for footings and construction of a building, committing to placing orders for this, we need to know that we have a tenant,
Right.
that we have a viable business that's gonna go in it. So, you know, the city's legal representative has been not fully informed, and we need to bring him into this loop to make sure that this development agreement is in the best interests of the city of Rushford.
The last meeting actually took place between Vern, Chris, Wendy, and myself, and that was the one at which we were hoping that Dan would come, but he asked for a proposal.
Now, when was that? Was that the
That was
meeting,
on-
was that meeting held after the council table?
Right,
Yes.
right. It was
Oh, okay.
on the 29th.
Okay, okay.